Good evening, everyone. I am Chris Rayburn, the Mayor of Strathbogie Shire Council. I'd like to welcome you all to the extraordinary council meeting tonight, the 26th of October 2021. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which we are meeting. I pay my respects to the elders past and present and emerging. This meeting is to be held in accordance with the Strathbogie Shire Governance Rules and Ministerial Good Governance Guidelines, MGPG1, for virtual meetings. All our councillors and staff are working remotely and alone, so that there is no need for them to wear masks so that we can see and hear them properly. Due to COVID-19 pandemic restrictions, this meeting is being held virtual. I want to take the opportunity to outline the voting at tonight's meeting, which will be held by show of hands. If a councillor has a conflict of interest in a matter, they will be asked to leave the meeting and no discussion on the matter will commence until we are sure they have done so. Councillors will reconvene after the matter has been discussed and invite the councillor back into the meeting. If we have any technical difficulties during tonight's meeting, which means we are unable to broadcast the meeting to the public, we will adjourn for 15 minutes. If the issue has not been resolved in time, we'll extend the adjournment or even delay the consideration of unfinished business on the agenda to another day when the meeting is available live streamed. Do we have any apologies, CEO Solomon?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor, no, there are no apologies this evening.
Okay, Councillor Haysbert, can you put your camera on, please? Disclosure of conflict of interest, thanks. Do we have any disclosure of conflict? Yes, Councillor Horrigan.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor, I declare a material conflict of interest under Section 128 of the Local Government Act 2020 for item number 5.5.1, given the possibility of adverse impacts on my business in relation to the draft council plan action relating to exploring free camping options. If it's okay with you, Mayor Rayburn, when I exclude myself, I won't come back at all into the meeting.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Do you want me to head off now, or have you got a couple of other agenda items before we get in? No.
That's
okay.
it.
Thanks. See you.
Bye. Okay, Officers Report 5.1.1. Over to you, Executive Manager, Governance and Community Customer Service.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we have in front of us two documents that cover three strategic plan requirements from the Local Government Act. So under the Local Government Act, Council must prepare and adopt a community vision, a financial plan and a council plan, and that's part of the new strategic planning framework under the Act. And all three documents need to be adopted by the 31st of October. So all three documents have been developed in accordance with Council's engagement policy, and we undertook a range of deliberative engagement practices or processes over the last 8 months through the Share Strathbogie initiative. And in accordance with the Council resolution of the 31st of August this year, the draft plans were released for public comment for a period of 28 days. And part of that resolution on the 31st talked about promoting the draft council plan for comment. And so we've written to all of the community panel members, over 40 that we had, for their input. We wrote to all of the action groups, the Chambers of Commerce, and other key stakeholders and groups and state government departments and authorities, and that included the Tungarong Land and Water Council as well. The Share Strathbogie portal was used to ensure that public comment was as simple and effective as possible, and all of the submissions were made through that portal. We also had to send the draft community vision and the draft council plan to the Secretary of the Department of Health, and that's because we have asked for permission to avoid having to prepare a separate public health and wellbeing plan. And the public health and wellbeing plan elements are now included in this draft council plan. So there was a process to go through with the department for approval to do that. And we have received that approval as part of the submissions that we received. So overall, we received 13 submissions, written submissions in response to the exhibition of the draft plans. 4 were from community or business groups, 3 were from health or water authorities, and 6 were from individuals. And we've acknowledged all of those, receipt of those submissions. And if you want to read attachment 1, that gives an extensive outline of all of the submissions and also the officer response in relation to those submissions. And we will certainly be writing back to all of those submitters to discuss how we considered their submissions and what changes, if any, have been made in relation to those submissions as well. I need to note that none of the submissions related to the financial plan, and so this document, the financial plan, is forwarded to Council unaltered. However, in relation to the submissions we received about the council plan, we've made a series of changes, and they can be summarised as providing a link to all of the consultation documents, engagement reports, community panel reports that were put into developing the council plan, and that's going to be embedded in the council plan itself so people can find that information easily. We've changed the icon around community-led content that was gender neutral. We've included an action supporting the advocacy for for a mountain bike track at Balmatum Hill that was certainly raised in a few of the submissions that we received. And we've also included a range of public health and wellbeing actions in response to suggestions from Euroa Health and also the Department of Health around health and wellbeing. So the purpose of tonight is to seek Council's adoption for the community vision, which is embedded in the council plan, and also the financial plan as well. And so, councillors, you have in front of you a recommendation on page 2 that talks about having read and considered the submissions that we adopt the council plan, the community vision, and also the financial plan. And that we also communicate widely that we have adopted the plan, including writing back to all of the submitters and also all of the key authorities that we work with as well and that we partner with. And also the final part of that recommendation is that we note the exemption provided to us by the Department of Health for preparing a separate public health and wellbeing plan. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Executive Manager. Do any councillors have questions of the Executive Manager? Yes, Councillor Andrews. You don't take Councillor Andrews off mute, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Director. I do wonder, as the plan goes through and unfolds, what periods, at what points is there a review / tweaking, if required, of the plan? At what point? 6 monthly, 12 monthly? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, we review the plan on an annual basis. So obviously because of the timing under the new Local Government Act and after the election, we don't have a full year to implement the first year's actions. So we will actually start reviewing the plan in early next year as part of the budget and the capital works program as well. So, and there's a consultation process around that as well. So it's an annual review where we look at what we've completed and what needs to change in terms of the initiatives as well.
Thank you, Executive Manager. Any other councillors have any questions? If not, councillors, I'll ask a councillor to move a motion and state their motion, please. Councillor Murray, your motion is? On mute, Councillor Murray.
I'd like to foreshadow an amendment to the resolution for the adoption of the council plan. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Are you moving with your amendment, or are you going to wait for someone else to move?
I'll wait for somebody to move the motion and then I'll move an amendment.
Thank you. Any other councillor want to move the motion?
I can move it.
Move it, Councillor Haysberg. Seconded, Councillor Binks. Okay, Councillor Murray, your motion is?
I'd like to, Mayor, I'd like to foreshadow an amendment to the resolution for adoption of the council plan. I'd like to keep sorry.
Sorry,
Mr. Mayor, we need to know what the motion is from Councillor Haysbert.
sorry.
Oh,
Thanks for that. I'd like to move the motion as per the recommendation on page 2 of the agenda. I'd also like to make a slight amendment to the council plan, but should I do that now?
Yes.
Yep. Item 2.7, it's around a strategy for playgrounds. I'd like to add the word implement, so prepare and implement, to that item, and also the same wording around implement in 5.1.5. It says seek funding and prepare an open space strategy. I'd like to add the word prepare and implement there as well, if I may, as an amendment.
Yeah. Councillor Binks, are you okay with that amended motion? Thank you, Councillor Binks. Okay, Councillor Murray, you can now put your amendment. You're on mute.
sorry, does that become the motion now that the mover and seconder have
Yes.
accepted the amendment?
Yes.
So I'd like to move an amendment that keeps dot points 1 to 5 as written in the agenda and adds a dot point 6 as follows. In the amendment of the advocacy agenda for 2021-21, add a community safety, that the advocacy of Vic Roads for the installation of a school zone flashing lights to our schools across the Shire.
Can I just clarify, is that 2021-22? Is it 2020? Okay, clarify it. Okay, the mover and the second, are you okay to put this part of your motion? Are you okay with this amendment? Sally, yes. Laura?
Yes.
Councillor Haysbert and Councillor Binks. Okay, so we'll put that, they'll become part of the main motion. So that's now part of the motion. So thank you, Councillor Murray. Any other councillors have got any motions or alterations they want to put? If not, Councillor Haysbert, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to add that word implement just as a start. I know it's implied in the plan, but I feel like it gives more weight to show the community our commitment to these recreational spaces that we have heard a lot from the community about, and we really appreciate your thoughts. And so this is my way of showing you that we're very serious about play spaces and recreational spaces. I also just want to say this council plan does a hell of a lot. I would like to thank all of our community who passionately shared their thoughts and ideas for the council plan, and a special thank you to all the community panellists who showed great passion, and their articulation and commitment was incredible to experience. I had the privilege of meeting them virtually over 3 Sundays, and my sincere thanks to all of the rest of the community for their feedback in helping us shape this plan. It's a very high-level document that guides the direction of council, and each year we'll have the opportunity to narrow its focus. I'm confident that it'll be a step closer to the community vision, and I believe that it achieves the desires of this council as we strive to do the very best for our community. Some highlights for me in the plan, in no particular order, are our real commitment to climate policy for mitigation and adaptation of climate change, which will be largely led by the community through our climate change action plan. There's a focus on better recreational and gathering spaces to support our growing and diversifying community, a genuine relationship with First Nations people, equality. A big one is sustainable planning, strong engagement principles, better environmental outcomes in our townscapes, on the land and with new builds. There's partnership opportunities for the community and support for community groups. There's a nod to arts and culture There's a focus on tourism that's suitable for our environment. There's a cycling strategy, and we've also added to the community plan a partnership with community group, the the Mountain Bike Club, and we thank them for their submission for their exciting project to transform Belmadam Hill into a mountain bike terrain park. Thank them for their work that they've already done with Parks Victoria and the traditional owners in exploring this opportunity. It would really enhance our tourism offering while also being sympathetic to the natural environment. It'd be a real game changer, I believe, for our tourism offerings, and your role is ideally placed. Belmadam Hill speaks for itself, and I'm very proud that we can now include this as an action in our council plan under 2.1.6. Thanks to the Mountain Bike Club of Euroa for their proposal. I commend this plan to my fellow councillors for adoption this evening, and I look forward to working with you all in partnership and in partnership with the community and our officers and other important stakeholders across the Shire. And of course, funding bodies who we'll be seeking funding from. There's something in this plan, I believe, for all members of the Shire, members of business and visitors, and everyone who calls this special place home. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haysbert. Councillor Binks.
Thank you, Mayor Rayburn. I would like to second Councillor Haysbert's comments and thank her for her very in-depth reflections on this council plan. It's a big document, and it's been a incredible process in the building between councillors, council staff and community. I would say it's Strathbogie Shire's most ambitious council plan, especially in regards to the level of community engagement, which Councillor Haysbert mentioned, that we chose to engage in to get a council plan that comes from community. And I think one thing to note, going on from Councillor Haysbert talking about the high-level nature of this council plan, it is a high-level document, and you will see a lot of discussion in there around developing policy and strategy around things that perhaps you haven't seen in previous Strathbogie Shire council plans. And this is to help the organisation, the council and all of us to have a really clear direction on the way that we're going forward. So whilst it might not talk about specific projects in this document, as mentioned by both Executive Manager of Governance and Customer Service and Councillor Haysbert, this will be captured in the yearly budgets that we set, which will go through more community consultation. So we'll get into the detail of those projects and how we will execute and achieve this council plan on a yearly basis. And I'm really excited. I think, I absolutely second Councillor Haysbert's comments on some highlights, but for me, I'm really excited about our focus on developing these policies and procedures, which are really going to help have a strong guidance for the organisation and for the Shire as a whole, that really sort of hold us in that, hold us to that level of this is what we are, which is what we're working towards, and this is what we're aiming to achieve. So I'm really excited about this very strategic and high-level policy approach, and I think there's great opportunity in here for everyone to become involved and to be really proud of what we have created in developing this document, but also where we're going with it in the next, just over 3 years now. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Binks. Any other councillor who'd like to speak? Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to say commend this community plan to the community. I'd like to say that the vision and the plan has been the subject of a great deal of community consultation and a great deal of community input. We've come up with in some ways a quite complex and broad and detailed plan and vision. And I know there has been some concern expressed about that, but it needs to be remembered that I suppose that that we need to deal with a whole lot of complex and quite broad areas. So there needs to be some complexity in this and some breadth, and that we need to ensure that the future in the next 4 years that we can sort of meet the needs of the community. So we have tried to develop a breadth in our plan that will allow us to meet those needs. Certainly the community is changing, and we have a growth happening in various communities across the Shire, with lots of new families coming in, and we need to develop a safe and healthy and welcoming community and ensure that we've got some open spaces and active spaces, for example, in our community, and that playgrounds, as per some of the conversation here, playgrounds are important, and active and gathering spaces are important in all of that. Also that we have a safe community, and I know that many councillors are concerned about that, that safety is a key important issue, and that's why I've moved the motion about improving the safety of our children around our school zones by the institution of flashing lights in the making a 40-kilometre zone around our schools. So I think, there are lots of things that we can be proud of in this plan, and Councillor Hayes-Burke and Binks have alluded to those. Certainly climate, our partnerships with the business and our other community groups are an important part, and I commend this motion to my fellow councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Any other councillor like to speak? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Declare it carried. Thank you, councillors. Very well done, and congratulate you all for all your hard, diligent work putting this all together with all the officers. Great work and great outcome for our community. So thank you. All right, that's all we've got for tonight's meeting. So thank you very much for attending, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. So good night. See yous. Bye.